Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the One Guy Crew bringing some more videos for you. And, this isn't a gaming video. This isn't a live stream, as you've hopefully already noticed. If you haven't, then... But yeah, so this is hopefully going to be the start of a new series that I'm wanting to make called Crew Reviews. A series where I will review movies, maybe even games, I don't know, books maybe if I read any. It's going to be a long shot. But yeah, that's the sort of series that this will be. And if this video gets good likes and views and all that great stuff and comments, I might just go on. So, as you can probably tell by the thumbnail and the title, this review will be on the brand new Godzilla King of the Monsters movie, which I saw last night with my buddy Luis. Sadly, Luis could not be in this review with me. He was going to be in it last night with me, but he had to head home. But yeah, so there is going to be two parts to these reviews. There's going to be the non-spoiler, which is going to be a very short segment, describing if you should watch it, what it contains, all that good stuff, and the spoiler segment, which is basically just going to be me going by the movie, just saying what happens. Basically, if you've already seen it and want to hear my take on it, then that's really what the spoilers are going to be for. Or if you haven't seen it but really just don't care or are not going to see it, then that's what the spoilers are for also. So we're just going to dive right into it with the non-spoiler segment, describing, what the movie is, what it's about, and how I think it is. So this movie is, in my opinion, a great, fantastic, and much better follow-up to the 2014 Godzilla movie, showing much more screen time action with the monsters. I'd say even 5 to 10 times more screen action of just the monsters in general. It doesn't focus on the characters nearly as much, but there is still a lot of character development with the main characters, as I'm sure you guys already know, Emma, Madison, and the dad guy. I forget his name. We're just going to call him Dad Guy, okay? Good. So yeah, there's a lot of character development with those, figures and people. And I would say that the extra characters along with that, Dr. Serizawa, and the entire other team of Monarch, well, not entire team, but the other main, people of Monarch and the antagonizing team, they are portrayed very well. And this movie doesn't like skip out on action or anything either. It's almost all action, I would say. Like there wasn't really a moment where me and my buddy Luis, we actually ran out of popcorn and we were like, okay, you can go get more when the action stops. The action didn't stop for like another 30 minutes. So it was really hard. And when the action did stop is when he missed out on a very vital part of the story, which I informed him about, but it's whatever, right? But yeah, if you're looking for like a sort of monster kaiju movie to follow up Kong or Godzilla 2014, this is definitely it. I would really recommend, if you're even thinking about seeing this movie, even if you're not, I would really recommend going to see it. It's really a great thriller, even if you don't like kaiju movies. Like, this movie still has a lot of just, action and character development in it. And, like, I would think, like, even somebody who doesn't like kaiju movies, like, this, this is still pretty cool to watch. Like, this is, like, when Godzilla Final Wars came out, if you guys remember that, when that movie came out, shit back then, like, it's like if that was, like, transferred over to now with, like, all the better CG and everything. But, yeah, so that's really all I have for the non-spoiler review. But what we will talk about, actually, I think, is the kaiju that we all know in it. Uh, so this I'm gonna put under the non-spoiler category because we already know about these kaiju that are in it, and we already know about their past representations and stuff like that. But Godzilla, he for most of the movie he's fine. Actually, I think for all of the movie he's fine, and I think that he does look actually a bit better, a bit more coarse, a bit awesomer throughout the movie than the 2014 counterpart did. Well, not really counterpart, but just version, I guess. Ghidorah, or Ghidra, or Monster Zero as they call him, which I'm pretty sure was the name in the 5th Godzilla movie, correct me if I'm wrong, but Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, that came after Ghidorah, the 3-headed monster, or dragon, I think it was monster. But yeah, so It's I really love how they portrayed Ghidorah in this movie. I think they did a really great job doing it, and I really hope that, we get to see like a nice version of Ghidorah like this in the future. So Mothra, uh, she really isn't in the movie too much, but for the parts that she is in the movie, she's really beautiful, and I really not like that, but I really like how they did her, like showed her off and did all that stuff. And when it came to combat, she really, but she can fight, dog. She can bust her up. But yeah, and then you have your Rodan, which I really love his introduction. His introduction was probably my favorite monster introduction in this movie. Like, straight up. It was just really cool to watch. And since my buddy Luis, he is Hispanic, when he saw, the city, Isla de Maria or whatever it was, get destroyed, he was, the look of just disappointment on his face, just, ah, damn, white people. So he's really funny, comes to that stuff. And I think that he really enjoyed the movie too. When we were talking about it afterwards, he said that he thought it was like really great, and that he isn't much of a Godzilla guy, not nearly as much as me, but he said that he really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was really good. So yeah, that's about all I have for the non-spoiler segments. Finally, um, if you want to know the final verdict that I'm giving this movie, then go to about, I would say, to the end. There should be a big number on the screen, so go and check that out. But right now, we are going to be transitioning into the spoiler segment. So this is where I'm going to be discussing the plot, all the characters and things like that, and what really happens in the movie. Okay, so we're starting off right then and there. It's back in 2014 in San Francisco. Godzilla's ravaging the city. He's finished, I think, destroying and killing the Mutos. And our main characters, the father, Emma, and Madison, are looking for Madison's brother, who was lost. What was his name? He literally screamed his name. They were screaming his name out in San Francisco, and he was killed by Godzilla, by all the destruction. Okay, I forget his name. Oh well, but yeah, he was killed by that, and that really upset like the family forever and wanted this thing dead. So the father and the mother started working on a device to sort of almost speak to the monsters and emit frequencies that the monsters would only really, understand and comprehend. So they do this, and we're just gonna cut forward, boom, right here to here and now. Boom, Mothra's hatched. They live right next. Madison and Emma. Emma got a divorce from the dad, so Madison and Emma, at least I think she did. I'm pretty sure. They live right next to the enclosure where Mothra's egg was in the temple, and boom, Mothra's hatched now, and she's a larval state. And as she was being hatched, they finally used this device to actually communicate with Mothra and calm her down. Because when you have a lot of people just standing there watching me hatch with guns, it's not that fun. But yeah, and so right after she gets hatched, the antagonist team comes in and just kills everybody in the Monarch facility. And the leader of this antagonist team, if you remember from all the trailers, was Jonah. And Jonah takes Emma and Madison hostage with their device and makes them, go off to the next enclosure that they're going to, which is the one in Antarctica, which is housing Monster Zero or Ghidorah. So they go there, and meanwhile, the Monarch facility tracks down the dad, who was taking pictures of wolves at this point, and they bring him out because they think that he might know where the locations of Madison and Emma are, and they inform them that they have been taken hostage by Jonah after, slaughtering everybody in the team. And they proceed to go to the base that is under attack right now by Jonah and his team, which is at Antarctica, where they just kill everybody there. So they go there, and so does the dad, hoping to find, his daughter and his wife / and or ex-wife. So they go there, and they're setting up the machine, and they're setting up like bombs all along the ice walls of the, Ghidorah enclosure. And the dad and the team finally get there, and they get there before the things get disrupted, and Emma and Madison finally see him, and, they're like, Dad, what are you doing here? And Madison hesitates to go to him, stays with her mom, and the mom, actually, there's a detonator, right? And they shot the person with the detonator, and the mom picks up the detonator, and she fires it. She flares up the detonator, destroying the ice wall and all that stuff. So that basically effectively destroys like the entire base, which almost every character about makes it out alive that was in there. Jonah, Emma, Madison, they make it out alive. The dad, the corporal, all the soldiers, they make it out alive. And so Emma and Madison, everybody makes it back to their helicrafts, and they start going up, and Emma arms the device, and sets it out of frequency, and she wakes up Ghidorah, which that scene has probably got to be my second favorite monster, like, awakening, Ghidorah's, because that was just amazing. And the way that he walks more like a dragon, like, he uses his wings to, walk along with him, and it's just really cool like that. So, and they're escaping and stuff like that, and Ghidorah starts going after the Helicrafts, and we see before this that actually the dad was on the underwater Monarch base, and Godzilla came, and he showed off that he was there, giving us a bit of a jump scare, which, whew, not gonna lie. So yeah, and then he's off the radar for good until now, which as Ghidorah was right about at the craft, we just see like this blue light from under the ice, and it's just getting closer and closer, just crushing the ice, and then the ice just crushes, and then Godzilla just comes out, this behemoth of a thing, this massive ass thing, and then we finally get to see Ghidorah and Godzilla fight, which I thought that as soon as they were gonna clash, knowing how Legendary did Godzilla 2014, I thought it was just gonna be a cutaway to someone else, somewhere else, I don't even know. But it wasn't, and instead of cutting away like every time that any monster shows, it actually sort of tries to keep focus on the monsters as hard as it can, which is what you should be doing, Legendary. But yeah, good thing that they learned from their mistakes. So anyways, we have this big-ass fight between, Ghidorah and Godzilla, 1-1, going down together. And, sorry if my lips are smacky. It's disgusting. But yeah, and the only reason that Ghidorah is able to escape and kind of win, I guess, because he has wings that Godzilla doesn't, so he's like, ooh. But yeah, and Ghidorah, wherever he goes, there's this massive, like, hurricane, lightning, thunderstorm that follows. And that's just how powerful he is. So, and it's confused with being a tropical storm, a hurricane, a Category 6 hurricane. And so Emma and Madison try to communicate with the dad and Monarch, and it appears that they're at this Isla de Marie place. I'm just gonna call it the Isla. So that they're apparently at this Isla place, but they're actually not, because the signal's too weak to track. So there's somewhere else that's safe, and this place is actually where the volcano is that's housing Rodan right now. And so what they do is they arm their frequency thing. And, Madison's like, don't, Mom, this is gonna kill, like, millions. Look at all the people running around in the streets. And Emma's like, bitch! And it flares up Rodan, and boom, Rodan's out here. He's, destroying a bunch of ships and everything. And, so, because of this, that actually summoned Ghidorah to Rodan, seeing that the hurricane changed directions, which isn't possible, but since it's the giant dragon, it is. So the hurricane changed directions, and now it's going towards Rodan, and Rodan and Ghidorah have this really cool little fight scene where Ghidorah ends up like coming up victorious. But while that's happening, the big ship, the big like exclusive Monarch ship, is actually there rescuing some pilots, and Ghidorah finds that yums, and what they actually do is actually lure Rodan to Ghidorah using these ships, this big ship. It goes there, and Rodan's following it, and then he goes off, and he starts attacking Ghidorah. So, Ghidorah sees the ship, and he goes after it, but then lo and behold, Godzilla just jumps out of the water, yeet, and brings him down. So whereas Ghidorah was in his territory, a little fly, and now he's in Godzilla's. This is the domain of Godzilla. This is the sea. This is the ocean. This is where Godzilla thrives. So Godzilla's unleashing all his fury on Ghidorah because he's a dragon. He doesn't do too well in swimming, but Godzilla is a swimming lizard. That's where he lives. So he's doing what he can, and Godzilla actually ends up ripping off the right head. Well, our right head of Ghidorah. Ghidorah's left head would be. He ends up ripping off Ghidorah's left head, and which causes Ghidorah to actually flee. And what that does is they attempt to drop an atomic bomb on Ghidorah, but it ends up actually doing fuck all to Ghidorah. Ghidorah flies out of the water and escapes, flies to the volcano, and Godzilla's vitals start failing, and they effectively killed their best chance at winning. So Ghidorah goes over to the volcano, he stands on it, and he grows his head back, which is something that he can do, I guess. Probably from the radiation, honestly. But yeah, then he does his little screech squeal thing where he calls out, and what this does is it makes him the king of the monsters. And so Rodan comes and he bows down, and this actually all 17 monarch sites that were not, so it would have been there's already been 3, so it would be the rest of the 14 monarch sites start flaring up. There are monsters that are flaring up. So you have Kumunga, the spider kaiju, which we're pretty sure it's Kumunga. It could be like Su or whatever the scorpion one is, but I'm pretty sure it's Kumunga. He gets up at his oil refinery place, and he gets up, and then there's this mammoth kaiju that we've never seen before. He starts flaring up. So yeah, they're thinking, wow, what did we just do? We just killed our best chance at winning this, and we just made Ghidorah the king of the kaiju. So they're thinking about how they can get this back, and they're doing that. And meanwhile, Mothra from the beginning, right? She cocooned herself in a waterfall, and now she is finally hatching. So she hatches into her final Mothra form, and she flies off to the underwater base, and she just shines just sunlight down, and Mothra's there, and they think so they find out about all this mythology and stuff like that, and they figure out that Ghidorah isn't actually from Earth. He's an alien that it was just landed here a long time ago, and he doesn't want to become the king of the monsters to save the planet. He wants to destroy it because he don't give a shit about it. Whereas if somebody like Godzilla was the savior, this is their home. They want to save it. But Ghidorah don't care. So, and they figured out that Godzilla and Mothra sort of had a thing, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so they send a sub down, and eventually they find sinkholes and stuff like that, and they figured out that the hollow earth theory is actually sort of real, and it's just a bunch of tunnel systems. So they go into these, and they figure out that this is actually a home for Godzilla. But the problem is that to get to him, the tunnels are super radiated, and not even, if you go anywhere near him, you're gonna die. You're gonna get radiation poisoning, and within minutes you're gonna be dead. So Dr. Shirazawa, he volunteers to, he says, I will go. He will go. And what their plan of attack is that they're going to put a nuclear bomb in there, and they're just going to radiate the shit out of Godzilla. Because if he were to remain there and just chill out there for, and just regain his health, that could take years. And they don't have that sort of time. They need to do it right here and right now. They need to make it snappy. So what they do is Shirazawa goes, and of course, he gives up his life. He gives his notes and his journals to the father, and he goes out and he arms the bomb, and he finally just makes contact with Godzilla in his temple, his little lava temple where he's regaining, and Godzilla sees him, and it's like a really kind of bonding moment almost. And then the bomb just blows up, and all you hear is just silence. There's nothing. There's literally nothing except faint music in the background. It's such a powerful moment. It's just the bomb just expanding, and just light and just powerfulness, and it's just, man, it's just wow, dude. And then the submarine gets to the surface because of all the pushback, and they're not seeing anything yet, but they do see like a dark area, like a sinkhole appearing, and blue lights below it. And then, after a while, Godzilla just comes up, and you see that epic shot from the trailer where it's Fat Godzilla, because he just ate a shit ton of radiation. That's why I think he's kind of looking fat there, because he just ate a shit ton of radiation. And he fires off his beam into the sky. Hold on. Accurate representation of what happened. Okay, so you got Godzilla, right? He comes out of the water. By the way, SH Monsters, yeah. You can tell because he's got the Mudo hand. Okay, so he comes out of the water, and he goes, brah, and he looks upward, and he's like, brah, and his beam is just like, brah, 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 and such a fucking... Yeah, that's an accurate representation of what happened, about as accurate as I can do. So yeah, that does that, and that shows off where he is to, the jets and everything like that, and the big-ass plane, which rescues him. So yeah, they find him, the dead guy and everybody like that on the submarine, and they rescue him. And Madison, meanwhile, has had a plan of escape, and she escaped back to her hometown in Boston, and she's gone to this, which is where Mothra was, and she's gone to this stadium, where she is going to hook up the device, and she is going to send a frequency to summon all monsters there. And so she does that, and that starts summoning Godzilla there, and Ghidorah there, and Rodan and Mothra. And Ghidorah gets there, and he starts just ravaging the place. Like, it's just absolutely destroyed. And the way that you see Ghidorah come in, it's that shot from the trailer where the flags go straight because of all the power, and all the storm just clouds up. So Ghidorah finds, like the frequency and stuff like that in the portal device, and he attacks it, and Madison ends up running with the portal device, and he finds her, and he tries to attack her with all his might and kill her, and to the point where he is about to do that, you just see, the blue beam just blast him. I got one for this one too. I got one for that one. Hold up. So, Ghidorah's just there. He's just like, I'm gonna get you. He's just like, I'm gonna get you, Madison. And then you see. But yeah, that's basically a summary of what you see, and then Godzilla shows up in all his glory, and he roars, and he starts attacking Ghidorah, and they have this big ass clash, just this boom, like sound waves. We're talking just straight up sound waves. And I thought that they were gonna cut away again, but they didn't, which made me really happy. So they show this fight in its entirety, and Rodan comes in, and Mothra comes in, and Rodan and Mothra end up fighting, which is really cool. And so Godzilla and Ghidorah are fighting. Meanwhile, this entire time, Godzilla's radiation levels are actually climbing because of the atomic bomb that fueled him up. His radiation levels are so high that like he's gonna become, it's gonna be like the Godzilla versus Destroya moment where he has a nuclear meltdown. Except it's not really a meltdown; it's more of an explosion. But yeah, this is gonna be an inside joke, but I exploded and I didn't die. But yeah, so that happens. So yeah, Madison runs off, and Emma and the dad try to find her, and they think that like they're arguing and bickering in the car, because Emma actually comes and saves the dad, who is about to get trampled on by Ghidorah, and she's like, get in, and like they're bickering in the car, and the guy's like, man, if I had you two as parents, I would run away from home too. And they're like, what'd you say? And he was like, home. And they were like, oh, home. So they go to the house, and Madison's actually hiding in there, and she's sitting there with the iconic shot from the trailer of her screaming, not ready to be in sight though. And so yeah, the whole battle takes place. And Rodan's got Mothra pinned down. He's getting her. She's about dead. He's going to clamp her in the face. He's going to bite her head off. And then he gets stabbed through the heart. And Mothra's to blame. She stabbed him with her butt thing. Woo! But yeah, he gets stabbed by her with her, like, I guess, stinger, I guess. And she goes off. And Godzilla's on the ground. He's getting pummeled by Ghidorah. And Mothra goes in, and she takes one for the team. Ghidorah just blasts her. And this is really just like the like an opposite form of the scene from like what was it? It was like Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, like Battle of All Monsters or something like that. The one that had Baragon in it, but it didn't mention him. So yeah, it's like that where Godzilla destroys like Mothra and that, but then like her soul and essence goes into Ghidorah, making him like Golden King Ghidorah, which is what happens here. Like her essence goes into Godzilla, which makes him all red. Just so this is like a culmination, I guess, of like that movie and Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2 when Rodan, Fire Rodan, went into Godzilla, making him like the red Godzilla, which is exactly what happens here. And so they find the house completely destroyed, but Maddie is actually okay. She's in a tub, and the stuff didn't hurt her at all, and she's okay. And they attempt to escape while all this is happening. And Ghidorah is just sucking the life essence out of Godzilla. And then what happens is that what does happen? Oh yeah. So Ghidorah is just sucking the life essence out of Godzilla, and then what he does is he just takes Godzilla, he wraps him up, he takes him up into outer space, and he just drops him. Which of course like that sends a shockwave throughout the entire city, right? But what does Godzilla do? He stands up. And all of that nuclear energy, right? Well, he does. Well, he stands up later on, but so Ghidorah ends up heading for the device. He sees the people trying to escape, and he ends up going for them, right? And so what stops him? That you just see Godzilla, just everything that he gets close to is just melting away from his nuclear power, because he is at nuclear meltdown right now. He is physically at nuclear meltdown, and so everything that he's touching, everything that he's stepping on, is just turning into molten lava and fire. So what this does is he gets close to Ghidorah, and what he does is he charges up, and he unleashes this wave of just pure nuclear power that just melts everything. Like Ghidorah's heads, both of his both his left and right heads are just melted away from this power, and he does it again, and like it just melts the entire body away, and everything like that. And he does one final one on top of Ghidorah, and that's all you see. Just it was like an atomic blast, and then there was nothing. And keep in mind, Madison and Emma and the dad are already safe. They're in an aircraft flying away. But then you finally see, you see one more thing. You see Ghidorah's head coming up from the ground, and you think, no way, how is he still alive? But the thing is, he's not. His head is in Godzilla's mouth. And Godzilla charges up one last time, his atomic blast, and he just blasts the head away. It is like that scene with the Mutos, where Godzilla just, and just blasts the entire neck into pieces. But it was like that for the entire head. And then you see all the different kaiju. You see Kumonga, you see the mammoth one, you actually see another Muto. So it turns out that the Mutos aren't aliens, they're just actual kaiju. And then you see Rodan come in, and they start roaring at him and stuff like that. That's a text. So they all, start roaring at him, and Godzilla just looks at them, because he has killed the king of the monsters, making him the king, and they all bow to him. That was a sickness, just seeing him, like, look at Rodan with those eyes, and Rodan just bows. And everybody just starts bowing, even the Muto. And Godzilla does, like, one final roar off into the distance, and then credits. That was probably one of the best Godzilla movies I've ever seen. I would say that it's better than Shin Godzilla. Definitely better than 2014. If I were to say that there would be a Godzilla movie better than that, it would probably have to be Godzilla versus Destroya, or actually most of the Heisei movies, honestly. But those Heisei movies were just amazing, in my opinion. And maybe one of the Millennium movies, too. But yeah, that movie is, if you are even intrigued in seeing it at all, you must. That is a must watch if you are intrigued at all. That movie was that was the best. That was just so fun and so good. And keep in mind that I just did like a tiny little summary of it. There is so much more that you can, do. There's so much more that you can just see just by going to the theater and spending a bit of money and just watching the movie. So this is a definitely recommend watch. Oh, and the after credit scene. Well, before the final credits, you see actually a picture of Kong just like going like this, and then Godzilla standing like right over there, like signaling next year. Hopefully, it probably will get pushed back, but let's just pray and hope that next year Godzilla versus Kong happens, and that would be the fucking best. But yeah, so the after credit scene shows Jonah talking with these people in this black market DNA place, right, for the monster DNA, like they were talking about before, how Jonah wants to use monster DNA to experiment with things like biowarfare. And they just see a head of King Ghidorah, which And if the shot, I believe, is almost shot for shot from Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2 at the beginning, where they see the Mecha Ghidorah head. And I believe that this is showing that there are plans to have a Mecha Ghidorah in another movie. Although they do have the rights, Legendary does have the rights to Mechagodzilla, not Mecha Ghidorah yet. So we gotta focus on yet. But yeah, so that was basically all I had to say for Godzilla. It's a great movie. I recommend seeing it, even if you aren't too much into kaiju stuff. And I think that it's, I think it's worth it, dude. I think it's really worth it. So, I think we're going to move on to the final verdict of the movie. Everybody who skipped from the beginning, hi, how are ya? Love ya. But yeah, so for my final verdict for the movie, I would probably give it a solid 9 out of 10. There are some things in the movie that I probably would have done better. Like the antagonist Jonah didn't get a lot of screen time, which I think that if you would have built up his character more, he probably would have been a better character. He didn't really have too much to him. He was just this bad guy who wants to do bad things for DNA and stuff like that. But yeah. So but I do really love the monster designs. But the big thing is that by the way, there's also a mountain kaiju. I really thought that was Anguirus. I genuinely thought that was Anguirus, but it's not. He just looks like the behemoth from like Evolve or like something like that. And the mammoth kaiju was too much like a gorilla, which I didn't like. We already got a gorilla, so oh well. But yeah, that's been my review of Godzilla. So yeah, overall, definitely go see this movie. It is completely worth it. Completely worth your time, your money. Just seeing Kumunga and the mammoth kaiju and the Muto for those shots, that was really great. So yeah, that's gonna about wrap it up for this review. If you liked it, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, comment section down below what you would like to see me do or play for the next episode. And as always, stay awesome, Metal Marios, and by very few, awesome possums.